So if you are not vegan, you are having all kinds of animals killed for your food preferences. Um, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish that are intentionally killed for your food preferences if you're not vegan. It's also wild American horses that are intentionally killed for your food preferences, because here in the United States, the government with taxpayer dollars rounds up thousands and thousands of wild American horses every year. And they take these horses off of public lands so that cattle can graze these public lands instead, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. And they're also killing out the wolves and the cougars and the bears and the bobcats and the coyotes, because those animals are a threat to livestock. And yeah, they're also killing off sea lions because, sea lions, they have to eat fish like salmon and trout to survive. So the sea lions are being massacred so that you can eat fish. So yeah, don't call yourself an animal lover if you're not vegan. Don't call yourself a nature lover if you're not vegan. You're neither of those things. If you are a true animal lover, you need to be vegan, and you need to be vegan now. If you're a true nature lover, you need to be vegan, and you need to be vegan now. There's no excuse for what's being done to these animals. We do not need to consume animal products to be healthy. And in fact, a whole foods plant-based diet is the best diet for human health. And it can in fact significantly reduce your risk of heart disease and cancer. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from the American Institute for Cancer Research and the American Heart Association. And no, veganism is not a trend. Veganism is not a trend. In fact, the concept of veganism has been around, since the time of Christ. If you're Christian, just turn to the very first page of your Bible, Genesis 1:29. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. Genesis 1:29. On the very first page of your Bible. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Thou shalt not kill means be vegan. Romans 14:21. It is good not to eat meat. Isaiah 11:6-9. The wolf will lay with the lamb, and there will be no more harm. But all non-vegans do all day, all night is cause intentional harm to animals. And again, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish that are being intentionally killed for your food preferences. It's also the wild American horses are being killed so that cattle can graze the lands instead. Wolves, cougars, bears, bobcats, coyotes, lynxes being slaughtered because they're a threat to livestock. And here we have sea lions being slaughtered. Because, sea lions, they actually have to eat fish to survive. But because fishermen want that fish for themselves to sell to you, they're killing the sea lions. The sea lions for eating the salmon, which they actually have to eat to survive. You don't have to eat salmon to survive, but the sea lions do. And it's just so disgusting how people use this, but we're meat eaters, and all of this other garbage. We are not true meat eaters. If you were a true meat eater, you would actually have the urge to kill animals when you get hungry. No normal, sane person ever gets the urge to kill an animal when they get hungry. And yeah, heart disease is the leading cause of death around the globe. A whole foods plant-based diet helps prevent heart disease and can even reverse it. That's because we are not true meat eaters. We are herbivores. And yeah, if you're Christian, again, turn to the very first page of your Bible. Genesis 1:29, right there. That's God's dietary plan for us. To be vegan. Yeah, you're going to kill animals, okay? You're an animal killer. People who hurt animals rarely stop there. That's a fact. That's a fact. And all you have to do to determine if something is right or wrong is determine if you want that same thing done to you. Because it's a very, 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 very heinous act. Kill someone. Just the same, it's a very, very heinous act to kill an animal. Yeah, say whatever you want. I'm 49 years old, and I'm not on any medication. I don't even have to take pain relievers. I mean, I used to before going vegan because I have endometriosis, and I used to be in pain 12 days out of every single month for years. But within 3 months of eliminating animal products from my diet, the pain completely went away. Could it be just a coincidence? Maybe, but I doubt it. Considering meat, dairy, and eggs are the most acidic and most inflammatory foods you can consume. So yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. That once I eliminated those very inflammatory foods from my diet, the inflammation, the pain went away. Oh, now look at this. Oh, Genesis 9:3. Oh, Genesis 9:3. Oh, what is that? What is that verse? Everything that moveth shall be food for you. Everything that moveth. Well, first off, animals are not things. And humans are, in fact, animals. So should we be eating humans? Should we be eating panda bears? Because, panda bears move. Should we be eating cockroaches? Because cockroaches move. Should we be eating tarantulas? Because, tarantulas move. Should we be eating elephants? I mean, like if you want to go by, see, it says in Genesis 9:3, we can eat anything. Yeah. Well, this thing you're doing with, consuming animal products is literally destroying everything your God created. Okay? So it's pretty blasphemous of you to be using the Bible to justify destroying everything your God created. Yeah, animal agriculture is in fact the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, world hunger, pandemics, and climate change. And I'm not even exaggerating. Right now, there are 1 billion people starving. 1 billion people starving. While tens of billions of animals being raised for their flesh and secretions are well fed today. They're certainly not well cared for by any means, but they are well fed because the more those animals weigh at slaughter, the more the farmers make. So 1 billion people starve right now as tens of billions of animals are well fed today. So privileged people can eat animal flesh and animal secretions. Third world countries do in fact sell their grains to the animal agriculture industry while their own people starve. And yeah, 50% of the ocean plastics come from ghost fishing gear from the commercial fishing industry. So yeah, if you're like, oh, but I'm a pescatarian, I'm doing my part to help, no, you're doing your part to destroy the oceans. Again, 50% of the ocean plastics come from ghost fishing gear from the commercial seafood industry. And they're killing off the sea lions because, the sea lions, they have to eat salmon to survive. But because fishermen want that salmon to sell to you for profit, they're killing off the sea lions. So yeah, there's so many reasons to go vegan and no good reason to not be vegan. Unless, you are totally for animal abuse. You're totally for, the extinction of wildlife. You're totally for getting cancer or getting heart disease and being put in an early grave. You're totally for the destruction of the planet. You're totally for, 1 billion people starving to death. You totally want to cause another pandemic. Seriously, it makes no sense to not be vegan. It makes absolutely no sense to not be. Well, obviously you care. Obviously I'm aggravating you. Because if you didn't truly care about me and what I have to say here, you wouldn't be here commenting. You'd just fucking ignore me. You'd move on with your life. My God, it's fucking Friday night. Don't you have anything better to do than harass vegans on a Friday night? Yeah, bacon causes cancer. Eat up. Bacon causes cancer. It's just as carcinogenic as eating or as smoking cigarettes. And that's a fact. Everything I say here tonight, everything I ever say when I come on my live streams, factual information. So yeah, I encourage you, don't take me for my word. Don't take me for my word. Please look into everything that I've said here tonight. Please look into it on your own. I highly encourage you to go and look into this information that I'm talking about tonight. And you'll see. There's all kinds of research that's been done proving everything I'm saying tonight is true. Everything. I have no reason to lie. I have no reason to exaggerate. I'm not here making money being a vegan activist. I don't make a living being a vegan activist. I have a regular daytime job, okay? I'm not here trying to sell you anything. I'm not here trying to sell you anything at all. I'm not here trying to get you to donate money to me, to give me any of your information so I can get your email. No, I don't want any of that stuff. I just want you to stop hurting animals. I want you to stop hurting animals, because every time you consume a non-vegan product, which is like every motherfucking few hours of every fucking day, you're paying someone to torture and kill an innocent creature. And again, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish that are being intentionally killed for your food and clothing preferences. It's also wild animals that are being massacred because of your greedy, selfish food preferences and clothing preferences. It's the wild American horse is being slaughtered. It's the wolves being slaughtered. It's the sea lions being slaughtered because, oh, you got to have salmon. No, the sea lions are the ones who need the salmon. They're the ones who literally, their lives rely on eating salmon. You can fucking live without eating salmon, and you'd actually be much healthier for it, because salmon is not a health food, in case you don't know. The average seafood consumer ingests 11,000 plastic particles each and every year. 11,000 plastic particles each and every year on top of mercury, which can cause brain damage, in case you don't know. So, yeah, why aren't you vegan yet? Must be because you get off on the fact that animals are being tortured and killed for your food preferences. Like, why else would you not be vegan? Why else would you want to pay people to hurt and massacre animals all day long? Every few hours, every non-vegan product you consume, you are literally having an animal tortured and killed. And even for eggs, just so you know, at the hatcheries where all egg-laying hens come from, even the organic free-range egg-laying hens, they cannot determine the sex until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males like they did here, and they put them through a macerator, which grinds them up alive. So even for your eggs, you're having animals ground up alive. And I'm supposed to be here, sitting here being nice and polite, when all people want to do is make a joke of what they're doing to these animals. Every time I go live, all I get throughout my comment section is people making a joke of what they're doing to these animals. It is bad enough you pay people to torture and kill animals all day long, but then you fucking laugh about it. You think it's funny. It's not fucking funny that you literally pay people to grind up baby animals alive. And that's just for your eggs. Oh, let's move on to dairy for a second here. Oh, you're wrong. Dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Dairy cows produce milk because they are mothers. But I guess you think it's perfectly fine to forcibly impregnate someone, steal their baby from them, kill that baby so you can have that baby's baby food. Because, yeah, that's what you're doing when you consume dairy products. Because that's what happens in the dairy industry. The disgusting, vile dairy industry. They sexually assault those dairy cows. They force semen into their vaginas. Those dairy cows certainly do not give consent to having semen forced into them. Yeah, if you were to force semen into an unconsenting woman's vagina, I seriously doubt you would call that artificial insemination. But yeah, that's what the dairy farmers call it. Artificial insemination. And they go into heat. And then that's when you know that it's, okay to shove semen in them. And then people say, fucking vegans are crazy. Yeah, crazy because we don't sexually assault animals and steal their babies and kill their babies. Yeah, okay, whatever. Call me crazy. If that makes me crazy, then yeah, fuck yeah, I'm fucking crazy. Yeah, if not sexually assaulting animals and stealing and killing their babies makes me crazy, then yeah, fuck, I'm crazy. Okay? But yeah, you talk about crazy. In the animal agriculture industry, throughout the entire animal agriculture industry, they call it artificial insemination. But for that so-called artificial insemination process to take place, what do they have to have? Semen. How do you think they get the semen for that so-called artificial insemination process? They literally masturbate male animals. They do it throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. And there are instructional videos. Just check out my last video that I posted. Yeah, to see what they do to turkeys for your Thanksgiving dinner. Don't be thanking God for your Thanksgiving dinner. Thank a farmer for masturbating an animal. Thank bestiality, not God. And yeah, if you're a Christian, look what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. It's exactly what you're supporting when you're supporting the animal agriculture industry, because that's step one in the process of producing all animal products. You think I'm talking crazy? That's because it is crazy what they're doing to these animals. Absolutely insane what they're doing to these animals so you can consume animal products. Again, they call it artificial insemination. All you have to do is just look it up. There's instructional videos by the industry itself. Instructional videos, yeah, from the pork industry, from the poultry industry, from the dairy industry, from the beef industry, even from the salmon industry, even from the honey industry. They're even doing this to bees. The first step in that so-called artificial insemination process, they collect semen from the male animals. In other words, they sexually stimulate male animals to force them to ejaculate. That is absolutely sexual assault, and it is bestiality, because sexual relations between a human and an animal is in fact bestiality. Just look it up. Doesn't matter whether or not the victimizer, the farmer, is getting sexual gratification themselves or not. The fact they're giving sexual gratification to an animal, and in most cases, we're talking about men, forcing dildos into the anuses of male animals to force them to ejaculate, to collect their semen, to force it into the vaginas of unconsenting female animals, to force them to reproduce so you can eat their babies. And in the case of dairy, yeah, they masturbate bulls, force them to ejaculate, to collect their semen, to force it into the dairy cow, to get her pregnant, because that dairy cow has to be pregnant before she will start to lactate. Dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Dairy cows produce milk because they are mothers. They are forcibly impregnated. As soon as they give birth, their babies are stolen. If those babies are boys, like this one, they're slaughtered so you can consume their baby food. How dare you? How can any sane person think it's okay to steal babies from their mothers and kill them to steal their baby food? You are not a baby. Your mother is not a cow. If you want to consume milk, if you want to consume ice cream, if you want to consume cheese, if you want cream in your coffee, milk in your cereal, you can still have all of that in a plant-based version. There is plant-based ice cream, plant-based cheese, plant-based milk. No reason to steal babies off of their mothers and kill them to steal their baby food. And in case you don't know, dairy products are carcinogenic. Yeah, they increase your risk for cancer. The casein in dairy is carcinogenic. And you remember Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney's wife? You know how she died of breast cancer? Did you know she was a vegetarian, not a vegan? She wasn't a vegan. She was a vegetarian. She consumed dairy products. And she died of breast cancer. Christina Applegate, multiple sclerosis. Do you know there is a link between dairy products and multiple sclerosis? So you're literally having babies stolen from their mothers and killed so you can consume baby food. So you can consume dairy products that literally increase your risk of all kinds of very common and very deadly diseases. It makes absolutely no fucking sense at all what people are doing to these animals. Absolutely no sense at all. And then to top it off, this disgusting, vile industry is literally destroying this planet. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. And even Albert Einstein knew animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive that we need to go vegan in order to save the planet. And, you know, while I'm talking about it, highly encourage you to look up everything I'm telling you tonight. Don't take my word for anything. Look into it yourself. You will see everything I am telling you tonight is true. Look at the studies. Look at the health studies that have been done about even Even the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association all state the same thing on their web pages. A plant-based diet helps prevent those very common and very deadly diseases. And if you have any of those very common and very deadly diseases, a plant-based diet can help treat them, can help slow the progression of kidney disease, can help reverse heart disease, can help fight cancer. Literally makes no sense to not be vegan. But here's a quote from Albert Einstein. Nothing will benefit human health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. And no, dairy products and eggs do not come from vegetation. So he's talking about a strict plant-based diet. And let me show you an extensive study of over 40,000 farms and concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet, and that if the world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up. Just read Joseph Poor's study, Poore. But this is from Oxford University. We face three epoch-defining environmental problems: extinction, climate, and pestilence. Our climate is changing in ways that will have serious consequences for humans, and it may even profoundly affect the ability of the planet to support life. All around us, other species are disappearing at a rate between several hundred and several thousand times the normal background rate of extinction. The COVID virus, which has wreaked social and economic havoc, is merely the latest model of a blossoming production line of newly emerging infectious diseases, many of which have the potential to be far worse. At the heart of these problems lies an ancient habit: eating animals. This habit is the most significant driver of species extinction and of newly emerging infectious diseases, and one of the most important drivers of climate change. This is a habit we can no longer afford to indulge. It's complete insanity. Complete insanity to literally be raising brutalize, torture, and slaughter just to destroy this planet in the process, just so we can consume products that literally increase the risk of cancer and heart disease and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease and Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis, and causing future pandemics like swine flu and bird flu. Yeah, and in case you don't know, these animals that are being raised for your food and clothing preferences, they live no kind of life worth living. So yeah, just yesterday I came across somebody who said, well, isn't it better to have lived and died than to have never have lived at all? These animals live no kind of life worth living. They are put through pure hell. And I think everybody, I even think vegans, should have to spend 24 hours with these animals in these factory farms, smelling what these animals have to smell, seeing what these animals have to see, hearing what these animals have to hear for 24 hours. And then think that these pigs literally are kept like this for 6 months. They are 6 months old when they are slaughtered. These pigs can live over 10 years. But they're slaughtered at just 6 months of age. And soon after they're born, their teeth are clipped. Their ears are clipped. Their tails are cut off. The males are castrated. All of this without any anesthesia. Then they're forced to live in these overcrowded, shit-filled dungeons for 6 months in pure misery. These animals are treated like shit. They are forced to live in shit. Also, you can spend a few minutes feasting on their flesh, and then you literally turn them into shit. I'm sorry, but I will always be an advocate for these animals. I would never be an advocate for those who are doing these awful things to these animals. But that's what all of you people here who are making your negative anti-vegan comments, that's what you're doing. You are being an advocate for the animal abusers, for those who are putting these animals through hell. You're literally here tonight advocating for a multi-billion-dollar industry literally based on sexually assaulting animals, to force them to reproduce, to steal their babies, to mutilate their babies, to force their babies to live in overcrowded shit-filled sheds for months, to then cram these poor little animals onto transport trucks in the freezing fucking cold of winter and the stifling heat of summer to travel for hours with no food, no water, shitting and pissing on each other. When they arrive at that slaughterhouse, they do not go in willingly. They are forced to the kill floor. As soon as they get off of those transport trucks, they're forced through a narrow chute all the way to the kill floor. And those workers have to use electric prods on these victims because these victims do not go to that kill floor willingly. They do not die willingly for your food preferences. They fight every step of the way. And this is all being done just so you can sit down just for a few minutes, just because you're too ignorant and selfish to choose something plant-based that's so much better for your health even, so much better for the health of this planet, and can literally significantly reduce your risk of cancer and heart disease, two of the leading causes of death. But you would rather pay animal abusers to torture and kill innocent animals morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night. Day after day after day after day after day. All you do, pay people to torture and kill animals, and you laugh about it. You laugh about it and you think this is funny. This is the worst, most evil atrocity that has ever happened on this planet. This atrocity is literally destroying this planet, and all you people do is laugh about it. Laugh. And then try to get me banned because I'm here stating facts. I'm here stating facts. And yeah, I have emotions because I have a soul. And I can't often contain my emotions when I think about the numbers. We're talking about right at this very moment, tens of billions of animals suffering right now, just so selfish people can destroy the planet just to eat garbage that literally leads to cancer and heart disease and kidney disease and pandemics, causing people to starve to death in third world countries because food they could be eating is being fed to your food. And then you want to use the Bible to justify this evil. When again, the first step in producing these products is bestiality, sexual assault. So yeah, for your Thanksgiving dinner, for your Christmas dinner, don't thank God for your Christmas ham or your Thanksgiving turkey. Thank a farmer for sexually assaulting animals, for jacking off male animals, forcing them to orgasm, to steal their semen, to force it into the female animals, to impregnate them for the evil purpose of stealing their babies, torturing their babies, and killing their babies so you can eat their babies. Do not call yourself pro-life if you're not vegan. You're not pro-life. You are not pro-life if you're not vegan because you literally eat babies all day. Literally have babies of other species tortured and killed for your appetite. And yeah, I am outraged. I am motherfucking outraged. I can't believe I'm literally surrounded by people who knowingly and willingly support this atrocity. And it's all over taste pleasure, but it's so tasty. I don't care if the world's being destroyed. I don't care if the oceans are being destroyed. Because my taste buds, man, the corpses of these animals are so tasty. Yeah, so tasty after this slaughtered gore is doused with herbs and spices. That's why the food's so tasty. Because of the herbs and spices, not because of these animals who literally marinated in a shit-filled shed for months. Literally, these animals marinate in a shit-filled shed, and then you put them in your mouth, and you're like, oh, but they're so tasty. I don't care that animals are being sexually assaulted and tortured and killed, and the planet's being destroyed, and I'm just increasing my risk of cancer and heart disease in the process because, oh my God, it's so tasty. And again, tasty because of the herbs and the spices, like KFC's secret recipe. It's not the bird that marinated in a shit-filled shed for 6 weeks that's so fucking tasty. It's the 11 herbs and spices that's so fucking tasty. But yeah, I guess your arteries are too clogged up and, you're not getting proper blood flow to your brain, so you can't figure it out. You can't figure it out. You literally think it's this bird's body that's so tasty. And this bird literally marinates in a shit-filled shed, and you put that in your mouth, but you think you're so clean. And you literally eat carcasses of animals that marinated in shit-filled sheds being pumped with antibiotics and hormones. And just so you know, these chickens are just 6 weeks old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 7 years, but they're slaughtered at just 6 weeks of age because that's how fast they're bred to grow. This isn't normal for a 6-week-old chicken to be this large. They are bred to grow so fast and so large that a lot of these birds end up like this bird, crippled under their own weight. This is just a bird that's only a few weeks old and already crippled, because this bird was bred to grow so fast and so large that they now can't even stand up. And right now there are about 20 billion chickens being raised for their flesh. So it's safe to say there could be millions. When we're talking 20 billion birds, there could very easily be billions of birds in this condition right now at this very moment. Crippled and unable to move. Crippled and unable to get up and get to the water to drink, to get up and get to the food to eat. So they'll just lay here and die a slow death. Or in the morning, a worker will come through and wring this bird's neck and throw them in the trash. Because if you think there are vets that come to these facilities to treat these animals or even to euthanize these animals, you're sadly mistaken, because that would eat into the profits of these demons who torture and kill these animals for profit. So no, they're not going to have a vet come and treat these birds. They're just either going to let them die a slow death and then throw them in the trash, or the workers will just wring their neck and throw them in the trash. I absolutely am telling the truth. Just look into it. Don't take my word for it. Please don't take my word for it. Look into it. There's all kinds of undercover investigations from all kinds of different organizations from all over the world. Endless undercover investigations proving that what I'm even saying, it doesn't even do what's happening to these birds any justice. Because if you would actually look into all these investigations, you'd see it's even a lot worse than what I'm describing here tonight. And again, just look into what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the environmental devastation caused by this disgusting industry. Just look into it. Animal agriculture is destroying the planet. It is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, fisheries depletion, ocean plastics, world hunger, pandemics, and climate change. And yeah, just look into the studies. And you don't even have to look at the studies if you don't want. Just go visit your local hospital. See who's filling up those hospital beds. It's not vegans. It's not vegans dropping dead by the thousands each day from heart attacks and strokes and cancer. And from the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association, a plant-based diet helps prevent those diseases. Can't even help treat those diseases if you have them. Literally makes no sense to not be vegan unless you are for torturing and killing animals, unless you are for being put in an early grave from heart attacks or strokes or cancer, unless you are for the destruction of the planet. Makes no sense to not be vegan. Makes no sense to not be vegan. Yeah, the battle of good and evil does rage on. And the most evil industry, the most evil thing that is happening right now is animal agriculture. By far, the most evil thing ever. Yeah, just imagine yourself in the place of these animals. Then you'd understand how evil it is. These animals literally live through a real life horror movie. There's a reason why there is a horror movie called Slaughterhouse. And again, it's not just the slaughterhouse that these animals have to endure. It's not just the one bad day at the slaughterhouse. The fucking slaughterhouse. It's their whole existence. These fucking factory farms are hell. Hell on earth. Slaughterhouses are hell on earth. These animals are treated like shit. They are forced to live in shit. Also, you can spend a few minutes feasting on their flesh, and then you literally turn them into shit and you flush them down the toilet into the sewer. And then you call yourself an animal lover. You call yourself a nature lover. You're not an animal lover. You're not a nature lover. You're literally supporting an industry that tortures and kills animals by the billions, while destroying the planet in the process, just to consume foods that literally increase your risk of heart disease and cancer, 2 of the leading causes of death. And all for what? Because, oh, it's so delicious, it's so delicious. But what do you do with that slaughtered gore? What do you do with those animal body parts that you bring home from the grocery store before you cook them up? You literally douse all that slaughtered gore with herbs and spices. It's the herbs and spices that are so tasty, not these animals that literally marinated in a shit-filled shed. KFC's secret recipe is what? Well, what does it consist of? I don't know exactly what the ingredients are, but it consists of 11 herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are vegan. It's not the dead bird that marinated in a shit-filled shed for 6 weeks. That's so tasty. It's the herbs and spices this bird is seasoned with that is so tasty. So yeah, my food tastes just as good as your food and actually tastes better. And it's so much better for your health, so much better for the health of this planet. And no animal has to be slaughtered. But I guess that just makes too much sense. Too much sense. Yeah, right on this app in the search box. All you have to do is put vegan recipes right here in the search box on TikTok, and you will come across endless vegan recipes. Hundreds of TikTokers who post vegan recipes. Give some of those people a follow. You will see it is the easiest thing in the world to be vegan. And you still get to eat delicious foods. And the foods are actually so much better for your health, so much better for the health of the planet. And no animal has to be tortured and killed. And again, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish that are being tortured and killed for your food preferences. It's also wild animals being massacred by the millions for your food preferences. The wolves, the cougars, the bobcats, the coyotes are literally being slaughtered by the millions every year because they are a threat to livestock. Wild American horses are rounded up by the thousands each year because they compete with livestock for grazing land. In Australia, they are literally massacring the kangaroos by the millions each year because kangaroos compete with livestock for grazing land. And they're killing off the sea lions. The sea lions, they're killing the sea lions so you can consume fish, so you can consume salmon. Yeah, the sea lions actually have to eat salmon to survive. You don't. You don't. And in case you don't know, the average seafood consumer ingests 11,000 plastic particles a year on top of mercury, which can lead to brain damage. And researchers estimate that by 2048, the oceans are going to be fishless. Yeah, again, don't call yourself a nature lover. Do not call yourself an animal lover if you are not vegan. You are supporting the 6th mass extinction. Animal agriculture is absolutely causing the 6th mass extinction. And yeah, hunters also are playing a large role in this sixth mass extinction that's taking place right now. But animal agriculture is the main cause. Every single second of every single day, an acre of land is cleared, and it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. Yeah, right now, tens of billions of animals are being raised for their flesh and secretions on a ceaseless basis to keep up with the demand for animal flesh and animal secretions. It takes a lot of resources, a lot of land, a lot of crops need to be grown to feed all of these animals. In fact, it takes up to 16 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of beef in return. It takes up to 6 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of poultry in return. So it takes a lot more crops to be produced to feed the animals that you eat. So it's going to take a lot more water to water those crops that need to be produced to feed these animals. It's going to take a lot more fertilizer to fertilize these crops that are needed to feed these animals. And then these animals themselves need to drink water. And then these shit-filled sheds that these animals stay in for 6 weeks in the case of chickens, for 6 months in the case of pigs, they have to be cleaned. What do you think they clean these huge industrial sheds out with? Water. Yeah, the dairy farms. What do you think they use in those milking parlors? In those barns where, you know, the cows are literally shitting all day nonstop. Yeah, there's a constant stream of water that goes through them to clean the shit. But it's still all shit everywhere, just mixed with water to dilute it and wash it away. But there's still tons of shit everywhere. Tons of shit on the cows, on their udders. It's like, I don't even see how this passes health inspection. I don't see how any animal product actually passes a health inspection. Because this is the most unhealthy conditions ever. And this is where your food is coming from. These sheds that these birds live in for 6 weeks are not cleaned. These sheds are not cleaned during that whole 6-week period. Once these birds are put on transport trucks and shipped to the slaughterhouse, then they clean these sheds out, put fresh litter down, and bring the new flock of birds in to raise for 6 weeks without cleaning these sheds out. If you were to go into these sheds right now with these birds the way they are right now, the ammonia would burn your eyes, would burn your lungs. These birds, they have eyes, they have lungs. Their eyes, their lungs are burning 24/7 for 6 weeks, just so you can spend a few minutes feasting on their flesh, all the while destroying the planet in the process, just to increase your risk of cancer and heart disease by consuming these products. And these birds, like this one who is crippled, and literally cannot get off the ground because he is literally crippled from being bred to grow so fast and so large his body can't handle the weight. Not only is this bird's lungs and eyes burning, but this bird's skin is burning too. And this is just one meal. This is just one meal. Not to mention, you know, like, okay, well, I'm having a chicken sandwich for lunch, and then you go from having a chicken tortured and killed to just a few hours later, now you're having a pig tortured and killed. And again, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish intentionally tortured and killed for your food preferences. It's also the wild animals, the wild American horses, the wolves, the cougars, the bears, the bobcats. Yeah, here is an image taken of a roundup that happened with taxpayer dollars, in case you don't know. So yeah, another reason why I'm pissed off as hell, because my own tax dollars are being used to kill wild animals, to round up wild animals and kill wild animals so that the vile, earth-destroying animal agriculture industry can maximize its profits. And then to top it off, this disgusting, vile, earth-destroying industry is literally propped up with subsidies from taxpayers like me. So I have every reason to be on this app, stating facts, educating consumers, so those who care will actually go vegan. Because that's the thing you need to do right now. If you care at all. Maybe you are heartless. Maybe you are heartless and you don't care. Maybe you are heartless and you don't care that animals are being needlessly brutalized and killed for your food and clothing preferences. Maybe you don't care that the planet's being destroyed in the process. Maybe you don't care that there's a 6th mass extinction event taking place right now. And this fucking disgusting industry is the main cause of the 6th mass extinction event currently taking place. Maybe you don't care about that. Maybe you don't care that, all you're doing by consuming animal products is literally increasing your risk of heart disease and cancer and diabetes and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease and Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis and causing another pandemic. Maybe you just don't care. You just don't care. You just don't care. And you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here if you don't care. I can't force you to care. I can't force you to go vegan. If I could force you to go vegan, I absolutely would force you to stop hurting animals and to stop destroying this planet. But I can't. You could very easily ignore me like you ignore the fact that you are causing so much harm and so much destruction over your fucking taste buds. These animals can't ignore what you're doing to them and their families. Wild American horses rounded up by the thousands every year, and more horses are going to be rounded up with all these droughts taking place. As the water resources are drying up, and these disgusting, vile farmers, these flesh farmers, want what remains for their animals so that they can maximize their profits selling you garbage that literally increases your risk of heart disease and cancer. I'm so fucking mad. I just wish I could say what I really want to say, but, But yeah, I can't contain my outrage because this is an atrocity like no other. Like I said, just not by the mere numbers of animals being tortured and killed on a ceaseless, never-ending basis for no good reason. But the fact that this vile industry is literally destroying the planet and causing the 6th mass extinction and causing pandemics. It was not a vegan that caused this pandemic. It was an animal eater. And if you think that this pandemic was started in a lab, which it wasn't, but let's just say it was. What about bird flu, which comes from the poultry industry, which is how they believe the Spanish flu started, on a poultry farm in Kansas? What about swine flu that comes from the pork industry? What about mad cow disease and Ebola and AIDS and MERS and SARS? Wake up, people. I'm not crazy. I'm outraged, yeah. And it's hard for me to talk nice and polite and softly when there's a fucking atrocity taking place and all people want to do is turn a blind eye to it or actually make fun of it. It's bad enough you're having animals tortured and killed, even wild animals tortured and killed, but then you laugh about it. You come on my live stream and laugh about it. And then I'm supposed to sit here and be all nice and cheery and happy. I'm not. And no good, decent person should be happy about this vile industry. No good, decent person should be continuing to support the massacre of animals. You need to go vegan. You need to go vegan now. There's no excuse not to be vegan. No excuse for anybody living in a civilized society to not be vegan. But again, this image here is of wild American horses being rounded up, taken off of public land so that cattle can graze these lands instead, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. And what happens to these wild American horses is they're put in government holding facilities. And eventually they end up being auctioned off. And who buys these horses at auction? Kill buyers mostly. Buy them at auction, ship them into Canada, ship them into Mexico where they are slaughtered for horse meat. Again, do not call yourself an animal lover or a nature lover if you're not vegan. And in California, in case you don't know, in California, the National Park Service erect a fence on park lands. Do such a thing. Yeah, the National Park Service erected a fence on park lands to keep wild animals like the Tule elk from gaining access to the foraging land and the water resources these animals need to survive. Why on earth would they do such a thing? So that cattle ranchers and dairy farmers can have their animals graze those lands without competition from these animals. So the Tule elk are starving to death. They are dying of dehydration because they can't gain access to the foraging land and the water resources they need to survive, because dairy farmers and cattle ranchers want those public park lands for their own animals to graze and to get water from without competition from these animals, so they can maximize their profits. Selling dairy products to you, selling beef to you. Tonight is true, is factual information. I have no reason to lie, no reason to even exaggerate. I'm not here making any money being a vegan activist. I'm not here to sell you anything whatsoever. I don't want any money from anybody. I just want people to stop hurting animals and to stop destroying this planet. Again, this disgusting industry, the animal agriculture industry, along with hunters, are causing the 6th mass extinction. And this is from Oxford University. We face 3 epoch-defining environmental problems: climate, extinction, and pestilence. Our climate is changing in ways that will have serious consequences for humans, and it may even profoundly affect the ability of the planet to support life. All around us, other species are disappearing at a rate between several hundred and several thousand times the normal background rate of extinction. The COVID virus, which has wreaked social and economic havoc, is merely the latest model off a blossoming production line of newly emerging infectious diseases, many of which have the potential to be far worse. At the heart of these problems lies an ancient habit: eating animals. This habit is the most significant driver of species extinction, of newly emerging infectious diseases, and one of the most important drivers of climate change. This is a habit we can no longer afford to indulge. Yeah, and before I sign off, check out my last video. If it's still up. I mean, yeah, I know these animal abusers want to have it removed because they don't want consumers to know the truth, but the consumer should know the truth. The consumer should know the truth so that they can make educated choices, because no sane, rational, decent person would continue to consume animal products knowing what's happening to these animals. And especially if you knew, like, the first step in producing animal products is they sexually assault animals. And if you think I'm talking crazy, it's because it is crazy what they're doing to these animals. Literally masturbating male animals, forcing them to ejaculate, to steal their semen, to force it into the female animals, to make the baby animals that you eat, and to make, the baby animals food that you eat. So yeah, you think I'm talking crazy? Just look at my last video. It's from a turkey farmer. It's the first step in producing your turkey, for your Thanksgiving dinner. You should watch it so you know the truth. So that from this point forward, if you continue to consume animal products, you now knowingly support bestiality. You now knowingly support the sexual abuse of animals. And you should know that I'm not the crazy one now.